So today's agenda, Phil's going to spend a bit of time going over Protos, talk about the competitions we're running as well to win a free MV2. So it's kind of one of the desktop cameras. Then I'm going to take back over from Phil, go over sustainability and why we find that so important, some of the outcomes we're getting and how to unlock these, and then finally hop into the dashboard and give you a demo of how we're using the sensors within our Cisco offices. So Phil, over to yourself. Just let me know when you want to go through the next slide.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people on this webinar are aware of Protos, but I'll go for us quickly. Founded in 2016 with a focus on network security. Since then, we have specialized more into the enterprise networks and particularly around cybersecurity. We have our own 24/7 NOC and SOC services, or NSOCs, and depending what you want to call it. We've seen that grow year on year quite a lot due to the complexities around sort of managing a network. As networks have grown, as people's networks are no longer contained within their buildings, they're being shooted out to the cloud, there's a lot more access points, then that management of users is becoming much more of an issue. So we've seen that outsourced NOC and SOC is something that is growing year on year for us. As I say, since 2021, we've seen a massive increase in that. Currently, we're sitting around 1,000 customers, just over, and always growing. Next slide, please. Yeah. So our partnership with Cisco, as I say, it is something that has been baked into business from the start. The business set up by Thousand Joe back in 2016, and it was set up as a Cisco Meraki managed service provider. So it is baked into all of our systems. It's baked into the services we provide. The majority of our products are focused around it and utilize it, be it webhooks or APIs into Meraki to gather more information, or if it is the Cisco Meraki products themselves, such as Umbra and ICE, things like that, to build out the solution. So we are primary solution providers. We specialize in all areas of system networking and security. All right, Jack, next one, please. So quickly go over our services. I know you're probably all aware of them at the moment. As I've mentioned before, we're split primarily into two parts of the business: enterprise networks, cybersecurity. Network side of it is anything LAN-based, so wireless, SD-WAN, firewalls, access control, and increasingly sensors, which is primarily what this call is about today. Sort of the sustainability, what more can you do on a network than just fast user traffic? And inside of it is cybersecurity. So that is the bits that create the secure environment on your network. So that is SASE, it's zero trust, it is extended EDR, it is everything that secures your network from within and from without as well. All right, Jack. Services we provide, so primarily set up as a managed service provider back in 2016. So that was the managed services, the professional services. Since then, we've grown a lot more into the cybersecurity side of stuff with compliance services. We do a lot around cyber essentials. We're cyber essentials assessors. So, you can come to us for all your cyber essentials need. We can lay out an assessment. We can do all of the auditing for you, and we can give you the certification as well. Around that as well is penetration testing. So we can get into your network and we can look at any vulnerabilities, report back on those, give you reports. We can do repeat pen tests. So once remedial work has been requested, we can then come back in again and, hopefully you pass it. Okay, yeah, I think that should be for me. Just a reminder that for people who attend this and ask for a trial afterwards, there is a free MV2 camera. There is actually only 2 people on this webinar, and both of you already won a camera. So you can't get 2. Sorry, guys.
We can see if they can get if they want a sensor instead. We can always look at sending that out. One of the empty sensors if you want to have a play around with it.
But as always, if either of you do want demos, give me a shout. You've got my contact details. We can set something up.
Awesome. I
Over to
suppose
you.
before we move on, it'd be good to know a bit about the customer we've got onto, just so I can speak a bit more specifically about their use cases.
Yeah, not a problem. So we have got Nick from Oliver & Co. They're solicitors based in Chester. They have a lot of Meraki infrastructure already. So they've got switches. I think they're full stack. So they've got switches, APs, firewalls, cameras.
Cool.
And also on here we have got Steve, who is from Planet Eclipse. They create paintball markers based out of Manchester. They're a relatively new acquaintance of Protos Networks, not of myself, but Protos Networks. And essentially, I think Steve's just trying to figure out more about the Meraki stack.
Awesome.
Don't have anything at the moment, so it's looking at the future and what can be done.
Definitely. Okay, I appreciate that. Well, nice to have you both on. I appreciate you hop on. As I said, otherwise it'd be myself and Phil talking to ourselves. But my name's Jack Stevens. I'm one of the Meraki account managers. Typically, it would be my colleague Jack L, who covers the kind of Midlands and Northern region, but I'm filling in for him as he's unable to attend today. Yes, today we're going to go over talking a bit about around sustainability, right? I suppose what we're seeing more and more is when we speak to IT managers or people in the tech industries, they're being asked tasked with sustainability. And these are some kind of reasons why it's important, right? So kind of clicking through, we see digital technology can accelerate progress on all sustainable development goals. So when we're looking for getting funding from, I don't know, this CTO or the financial director, it's also important that we're considering some of these sustainability goals. IT industries, as you see there, contributes to around 3 to 4% of global emissions. So anything we can do to address that, it's great, right? I suppose the main thing for you guys as well is saving money, right? How can we look at stuff like the money spent on HVAC systems or the PoE ports being used? How can we use the Meraki technology to reduce these costs and put more money back into the business? So when you're looking at a solution like Meraki, how can you have that kind of total cost of ownership be reduced by some of these features? I'll click through some of these slides, they're not too relevant, but you can go. Number one obstacle to driving sustainable efforts is measuring environmental impact, and that's what the Meraki is going to let you do. Why now? So 97% of companies are already negatively impacted by climate change. Stakeholders are pressuring companies and their climate strategies. If you can outwardly kind of advertise to your customers that you're working towards these sustainability goals, it's going to improve your brand image. Some of the ways that Cisco is kind of pushing towards this, we've set a goal of being net zero emissions by 2040, powering out this inclusive future for all. Some of the ways we're doing this right is using Meraki software to make sure that the systems and offices we're running are more sustainable. But also if you look at the chips within our devices, so the Meraki Silicon One chips, these are more power efficient chips, meaning that when you do buy, let's say, a switch or a firewall, it's going to be drawing on less power than some of our competitors. Right. Now we're going to look at, okay, what are actually some of the outcomes that we see by using Cisco Meraki devices. So first of all, we want to look at energy savings, right? So cloud delivered backend, so you're not having to run that management physically, it's all in the cloud. HVAC efficiency, like I spoke about previously. How can we look at environmental sensors to optimize the HVAC spendings? There was a study we recently did with Clark's, the shoe manufacturer. And what they were noticing is that past 5 p.m. or whenever the shops were closed, their heating and air conditioning sensors were still running at kind of a decent temperature until 8 p.m. So by deploying these environmental sensors that monitored the temperature, they were able to figure out that if they switched off the HVAC systems at around 3 p.m., this would keep the store at a decent temperature where they found it acceptable until 5 when the shop was closed. And then after that, it would power down. So we talk about HVAC efficiency. It's how can we use IT to make sure that the HVAC systems are running as best as possible. Switch port schedules. So like I spoke about earlier, if we are using PoE devices, what can we do to make sure that, I don't know, between outside office hours, so say your solicitors, if you are running PoE devices, we're switching off, I don't know, whether it's access points or physical phones that are using PoE, how can we switch port these off during specific times? And finally, automation as well. So leaving back in that HVAC systems, how can we use IT and automation to switch these off? Reducing waste, maybe not the most applicable, but protecting perishable goods, protecting business assets as well. So using IoT and the cameras to make sure that we're not losing any assets there, and then avoiding food and water waste. Not as relevant in your guys' use case, but always something to consider. And then the final one here, right, it's what we see more and more with cloud delivered management is reducing travel. So if something does happen on your network, rather than having to send an engineer out, we can manage it from the cloud with a lot of people that have distributed sites across the country. And if something goes wrong, rather than having to send an engineer out, they can manage it and monitor it via the cloud. Zero touch deployment as well. Don't have to send the engineers out to site. It's plug and play. You can configure that Meraki device before it even arrives at the store. Cameras and sensors, right? Same thing here. Looking onto automation as well. Just talking about some kind of how it works in the event that actually the sustainable outcome. Let's say our sensors detect that there's no people in the office or an area at a particular time. We can then set up automation to mean that it switches the Wi-Fi off. So the sustainable outcome is that we have energy savings. Another one here. The event is we've got a temperature threshold reached. So let's say it's got too hot and we want to switch the HVAC system off. Actions that an SMS or an email is sent to the facilities management team or yourself as an IT team. You can then impact using APIs to turn that HVAC system off, and we won't avoid any kind of waste regarding the heating and electricity. Any questions, guys, please post them in the chat as well, and Phil will be able to get back to you. But what I'm going to talk about here is the scope. Back to what I spoke about in terms of the switch port scheduling. So if you do have Meraki switches in your environment, this is on all our switches, we can do something called switch port scheduling. Essentially what it does is switch off devices such as access points and IP phones when they're not required outside of business hours. I'll hop into the dashboard later and show you guys, but this is just a little screenshot that goes over, let's say, between 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can make sure that we want switch ports on. Then outside these hours, we can turn them off. These are some calculations, right, that we saw. I think it was in the Wrexham Borough Council. Over the course of a year, they're going to save around £30,000 by having these switch ports off. Again, looking at the air conditioning case study as well, we can achieve around 50% energy savings as possible. So when we're seeing a certain load, we can see this chart here in terms of whether we want the temperatures and the humidity. If something falls outside that threshold, we can either queue it on or close it off as well. Common place where we're seeing this with an IT company is in the comms cabinets. So deploying the Meraki sensors to look at things like open door close. So has someone left the door open, and that means the HVAC system is going to kick in. We can also look at leaks as well, any water detection, and then finally there, looking at temperature and humidity. To go for a few more use cases here. This clicking through, right? So one of them is air quality, right? We want to make sure that the environment that our staff are working is as best as possible. So these air quality sensors can monitor things like CO2 emissions. We see them used in classrooms quite a lot, or not buildings as well, where if the CO2 goes above a certain level, we know it's hard to concentrate and we feel less alert. So is it a case of when one of these air quality sensors goes off, does it send a ping to the IT team or to the office manager saying CO2's got high, maybe we want to open some windows and improve the working environment? Water leak sensors as well, part of the Meraki IoT portfolio. Preventing water damage to building infrastructure. Is there a comms cabinet where we need to monitor this? This can be set up as well. Door open, close as well. I think Phil spoke about it. We've got it set up in the Protos office, where if a door does get open, we can link it to one of the Meraki smart cameras that every time a door is opened, it will take a screenshot of the person going in and out of that space. Also looking at deploying it in comms cabinets to make sure that a door isn't left open in an area you don't want it to be. Looking at one of the use cases now, or one of the customers we work with, WPP. So over 1,009 employees worldwide, and what they really wanted to do, right, It's to create a sustainable future, and they did this by implementing the temperature, humidity, and water sensors across the data centers. And like we spoke about previously, it's the same two outcomes: reducing the HVAC costs and the carbon footprint. And for them, they use Meraki across their entire portfolio as well. So they have that one integrated vendor experience. Don't have to worry about deploying lots of different third parties to achieve this. You can see here, over the course of a year, they're saving up to 71,175 tons of CO2 each year. Brilliant. Awesome, guys. Any questions, Phil, or good to crack on to the dashboard?
Nothing in the chat at the moment, so if you just crack on.
Awesome. Let's pause 1 second and share my screen, go into the dashboard. Any questions from yourself, Phil, or any comments on what we've gone over so far?
No, I think it's, the sensor stuff is something that is only sort of now seeping down into sort of the SMB market. It's something that is become more and more relevant to people as working conditions change, as requirements around sustainability change, which they inevitably will. So
yeah, definitely. I think one of the other things to point out as was post-COVID, we're seeing more and more people come back into the office, right? And it's how can we make these offices as attractive as possible? And if it's things like deploying sensors to make sure that we've got keep our offices at temperature that we want them to, making sure there's not too many CO2 emissions, all these small things, right? So we get investment from the budget holders into IT. And with Meraki as well, it's one platform. So going along that simplicity line as well, you don't have to worry about looking at multiple different vendors. It's one dashboard and it all sits in the same area. So I've got up our Meraki dashboard now, and this is where we'd see an overview of all our networks, quite familiar. What I'm going to start with is the summary page. Just giving you a wide view. And what you can see here, right, is whilst we've got the uplinks and WAN devices, the sensors across your entire estate sit in this as well. So giving that overview of the 1,000 we've got deployed, 6 offline, and a bit of context. This is then across the entire Cisco Meraki network. And what I'm going to go into first is look at our San Francisco office, and all the data you're seeing here is from a live environment. So I think it's quite early in the morning there. But we can see what's going on. So I'm going to go into the sensors, go into the overview. And here we can see kind of current alerts and anything going on, but I'll stop that for a second. Let's go to the list. So a bit of context around the sensors we have. I should have pretty much at the start. We have a lot of different types of sensors that can achieve different things. Going from, we've got a temperature and humidity sensor, water detection, door open close, but we can also look at things like ambient noise, right? Do we want to measure noise in certain areas? And also a button press as well. So that button can be used for a variety of things. It is just an IoT button, and how we see some of our customers use it, right, to do energy savings and really kick on with sustainability would be saying we can link this button to our Meraki devices and we can do power down all Wi-Fi access points. So let's say at the end of the day, you leave the office, you press the button, it'll power down all the access points, or it will move, let's say you've got some IoT sensors, IoT cameras deployed as well. It can click these all on. So you're not in the building where there's not people monitoring or securing the building, click them on. Here we have a report of all the sensors that are deployed across the San Francisco office. And we can see the different alert profiles set up. If I click into one of these, what we'll see here is the latest reading over the last 24 hours. We can also put this out to 7 days if we want to. So we see the temperatures remaining fairly stable. Humidity readings as well. So if there are any peaks and troughs, I'm going to segment chart. Looking through, we can see how these are a bit more information about the signal strength, and these typically will connect to via Bluetooth gateway to one of the access points as well. They can be powered in 2 ways, either by USB-C or via a battery, and typically the battery will last, I think it's around 3 years, top of my head, but yeah, super low power. Have the battery monitoring as well, so if they were to run low, you'd get a signal there. The location, that's where it sits in it. And then finally as well, if we were to attach it to a certain camera, this is when we can start doing some of the interplay between the sensors that we see and the cameras as well. So let's say, for example, the temperature did spike at one time. Maybe it's caused for a fire or something's going on there. You can assign a camera, so if it does go past that certain thresholds, it will take screenshots to start recording what's going on. Moving back into the sensors overview, what I'm going to get through is look at some of the other sensors we've got set up as well. I'll look at some of the metrics we're looking at here. So if we look at the ambient noise one, MT14. You're looking here, we can see, okay, it's given air quality, humidity as well, the ambient noise reading as well. So it is really as simple as it is, say what you see. But okay, how do we act from these insights, right? So be looking at setting up alert profiles, and this is when we'd start to integrate with HVAC systems, making sure that if something does fall out of a certain threshold, we can start to take action against it. So we'll take this one here. So confidence from alert temperature, it's applied to 54 sensors, so across the building. Temperatures above 80 Fahrenheit or below 60 Fahrenheit, will then send an alert. How this could be used in your office, let's say, for example, is that if you've got certain threshold for your HVAC systems that are running, if they get too hot, it might be okay, now it's time to switch it off, or if it gets too cold, switch it back in. And the way you'd be using this in terms of reducing those cost savings is monitor it, say, for a week or so, 2 weeks, and seeing that, okay, people are leaving the office at 6 p.m. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., what's the temperature in the office? If it's still remaining at where you want to keep it, then we could argue, okay, let's say if we switch the heating off at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, it still remains at that target temperature until 6 p.m. when people are there. This means we can switch it off 2 hours earlier than we normally do, and get that energy saving there. It may seem like small savings at first, but if you expand this over 3, 5, 7, 10 years, you'll see greater and greater savings come in. We'll also look at some reports as well. So any trends we're seeing in the office, if we see rises in temperature in the climate as well, how's this impacting what we're doing in terms of reducing that HVAC sensors? Loading up. Same with door open close. There are people leaving doors open in certain areas, not using the best outcomes. And live demo never loads up. Any comments from yourself, Phil, as I'm just going through the dashboard?
Let's check on remote, yeah. So no, I mean, I have to say the sensors themselves, are a brilliant tool. We're seeing them used increasingly for open close in combination with the cameras, because we deal with a lot of people who have got server rooms or data cabinets that are sensitive to temperature and things like that. We find a lot of small SMBs actually use them for monitoring of data centers. So they'll have a temperature sensor, a water sensor, open close sensor, and a camera, all associated around their network infrastructure. So they can pick up if the aircon fails, for example, if there's a leak in the data cabinet, which obviously could be catastrophic if not caught, if people are accessing the data cabinet without their permission. And for an ISO 27001 point of view, it's also for auditing, so you can see who's got access to who's been accessing what. So it's all about, and a lot of the case studies that you get are around massive infrastructures of sensors, but they don't have to be. It's all about finding that use case for yourselves that fits the business.
Definitely. And just looking at one of the sensors here, right, this is where we can see a record over the last 24 hours who's going in and out. You can see here assign a camera to the sensor to keep camera snapshot sensor alerts. So what we do here, right, you find the corresponding camera. As you can see, they've got deployed in a comms cabinet there. We assign that camera, so every time the door's open, it'll take a screenshot, start recording, and that's what Phil was talking about there, having that security perspective. Okay, who's accessing the data center when they shouldn't build a comms room? What I'm going to flip into now quickly as well is talk about some of those support schedules that we spoke about earlier. So more sustainability piece, not specifically about the sensors, but also relevant when we're talking about sustainability. So still within the Meraki dashboard. So if we wanted to add a new port schedule, really easy, right? So let's say I'd call it Protos weekend off. And we all we'd have to do there, look, is say 8 to 5 on weekdays only. And what we do there is just pin it down to the Protos time. We know that it's super hard working, so let's say maybe they're in the office to 6 o'clock on these days. We just ping it out there, assign it to certain ports, and then save it. And then we're between those times now, all the ports are switched off. Just super low touch to set it up, but you're getting those energy savings straight away. What I'm also going to do is this. Have we had a session on cameras before, Phil? Do I need to just go over it quickly?
Go over it quickly. That was the last webinar we did, but feel free to go over it. As I say, Nick's got a shiny new camera, so we might appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll just put the cameras. So you may or may not know we have the cameras in there as well. When I speak about the integration, right, this is what we talk about. So we have all the cameras here plugged in. They give you a live stream. So this is live footage from San Francisco. If there are any alerts, and if they've fallen offline or if they're having connectivity issues, have them there. What we're seeing here is a live stream of what's going on. Funnily enough, it's, what time is it? 2 o'clock in the morning in the Meraki office, so not too many people there. We can see, I don't know, what will happen here is we'll have a quick view of any motion in an area. Let's say, for example, there was a theft in your office, someone stole a laptop. I mean, it was in a specific time. Rather than putting someone down and having to search through every single event, what we can do is we click on this, we can go to Tuesday. I want to put, let's say, and I can just put a specific time, 3 p.m. yesterday. And what it will do once I search that, we'll go to that snapshot, we'll pull it up, and any movement at a specific time, it will pull through here, these little highlights here. And all I have to do is just click on it here, and it will show me when there was movement in that area. So you can see someone down there, that time, or 16 seconds at around 2:45 yesterday, we see movement in a specific area. We can even make it a bit more more targeted, right? So going back to the cameras. Let's say, for example, let's look at the coffee bar. We can do something called motion search. So we can look at a specific time and just select one area. So if we knew a laptop was in one specific spot, we'll just highlight that area there. And then say at 2 p.m. yesterday, the camera isn't powered on. It's probably not the best model, but we can look at specific areas. One new function we brought in as well is the event search. So I'm pushing out to the Meraki Vision portal, and this is more used by facility teams, but it goes along that loss line as well. So looking at where customers, if there's kind of theft or loss, how we can use AI to make sure we can identify this person. An event search, and we can say, let's say all of Tuesday, last 2 days, confirm, look at, let's pick specific cameras, this camera here, let's do 4th floor stairwell. And we saw the assailant, the person that stole it, had a red top on, which we saw them run out of building. What we can do here is click on the red button, and then anyone wearing a red top that was in the office on May 28th to 29th and walked through the stairwell, we'll pull through that straight away. But we can even go a bit deeper, right? So let's say he was wearing, I don't know, blue trousers. We can see if there's anyone that fits those two things, a blue trousers and a red top as well, and pull through. This again can be all linked in with the sensors that we spoke about earlier. So taking screenshots, if a door gets opened or closed, it will take a screenshot there, put it through and give you this information straight away. Awesome. Any other comments before I close off? I think that should give the guys a good overview of what we're doing in terms of sustainability piece.
One question I've got is, do the sensors show up on the topology view as well? So can you see which sensors are connected to?
Yeah, if I just click through. Go back to one of the sensors. Just click on this one here. So that load up. A bit of time. Just let it load. As soon as you ask a question, it stops loading. Typical.
I think the one thing that won't load.
That's the one
Next
thing.
up,
Working
they
all,
connect through because they connect to Bluetooth, don't they? So I was just wondering if when you saw the entire
yeah, I just wanted to get the topology. Yeah, get the topology view up here. I might suddenly stop working. See if I can put that on the topology view. I don't know why suddenly it doesn't want to load specific sensors, but there's a topology tab on the sensors page. I just seen a question from Andrew. No, unfortunately, so it's only Meraki native cameras that can fit on the Meraki dashboard, so you're unable to use third-party cameras on the Meraki dashboard, unfortunately. Answer your question, Andrew. But we do integrate with a lot of, we're integrating more and more with access control companies. So let's say, for example, a Honeywell, we can integrate that into the Meraki cameras and the Meraki sensors as well. So kind of door open, close, links in with the likes of Honeywell in terms of that third party.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So lead, kind of view on the topology here. Device status, not to worry. Don't know why the topology stopped working, but yeah, you will be able to see the sensors on the topology. It's just for some reason it stopped wanting to work as soon as I pulled it up. Let's see if I can find it here.
So what you're saying there is basically every Meraki device connected through an organization level, that is it? Or is that a network level?
Yeah. Oh, what was that, Phil?
That topology was every Meraki device connected. Is that
all the Meraki device?
That's an organizational level, that isn't it?
No, so that's at a network level. So
That's
looking
a
at the
network level.
site, yeah, so we can see all our devices that are connected online here, and then they'd pull through here as well.
Cool.
So yeah, apologies, I can't pull through the topology on there, but yeah, they will show up the same way, right? So as you have one of the MBs here, it all shows up in the topology, so you can see what's connected and where it's been plugged in.
All right, that's fine. I won't torch you trying to get wait for it to work.
Just at the end of the demo. No, I appreciate your time, guys, on hopping on. Yeah, if you do have any questions, fire them over to Phil, and I'm more than happy to let you guys in. And of course, everything we've spoken about today, whether it's the cameras, the switches, the sensors, can all be trialed as well. And Phil, remind me, what was that competition that we spoke about at the start of the call?
So for anybody attending any of the webinars, if you reach out for a demo of the relevant kit, then the first person to reach out will be a chance to win an MV2 camera. So yeah, just reach out to me. I think you've got my details, but I will, following this, I will also send out the slides and everything to everybody with all my contact details on. So if you don't reach out, you'll have the details. Do that. Finally, because it's the last one of the webinar or the webinar series, anyone who's attended any of our webinars will be entered into a chance to win a couple of Meraki sensors as well. So that's a door sensor and a quality sensor. So we've got 5 of those to give away. That will be drawn at a later date. Basically, everyone who's attended any of the webinars, name goes into a hat. The more webinars you've attended, the more times your name goes in. We will pull them out of a hat. It might be a metaphorical hat. And then we'll reach out to let you know if you've won a prize and sort out delivery. Okay.
Awesome. Brilliant. Thanks for your time, guys.
Brilliant.
I appreciate you guys hopping on. And yeah, good luck in the raffle.